People are upset though, because it's like, no, you showed us something, and you showed us something as the truth, and then you went and manipulated it. And because of that, it's no longer real. Boris Eldagsen used AI to create an image, pretended it was a photograph, entered it into the Sony World Photography Awards, and actually went on to win the creative genre. This, of course, is going to raise a lot of questions, and we're going to address some of them today. My main interest is, what is the impact of AI on the essence of photography, and what is the impact on the photographer? You know, persons like you and I. So first of all, is it photography? You know, there's a thought experiment by Plutarch. It's called the Ship of Theseus. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but you know, the short version is they created this boat. After each journey the boat makes, a single part is replaced. After 1,000 journeys, basically the whole boat is replaced. And the question here to ask is it the same boat that it was at the beginning before it took a single journey to begin with? You know, in one sense, you could apply that to AI photography as well. Someone goes out and takes a photo, or 1,000 people go out and take a photo, and then afterwards someone makes an AI image out of those thousands of photos, and they're a composite of all these different photos. So is it really a photograph or not? In one sense, that was a bit of a hobby, I think, that some people used to do with cutouts of magazines, you know? Have like 1,000 Vogue magazines, and then take an eye from that model and take a nose from that model and put everything together, and then you create an entirely, I don't even want to say it, but like you create a Frankenstein version of, you know, a new model. And if I was to do that, I would say, yes, I've created a picture, but I've not created a photograph. Let's look at it another way. If I take a high quality photo of a painting, made prints of those photographs, and then showed that around, could I call myself a painter? I'm look at that Ollie fellow. Well, look how hell of a painter he is. No, I can't. That's just not the way it works, right? I used a camera to go and create those prints, and not a brush and paint and canvas. And that's exactly how a painting for me is made. A sculptor will use a hammer and chisel and rock. A photographer will use a light box or a camera, some glass, light-sensitive material, whether it's a sensor or film or celluloid or anything like that, and go and take a photo of something. And an AI artist will take a keyboard, an algorithm, and a database of basically all images ever created to then be able to create that AI image. And I'll get onto the database bit later on, but ultimately what I'm saying is that the methods and tools used is a big part of what determines in which category the result of the creative actions are categorized in. So no, AI imagery is not photography, not to me. Let's go on to the next question, and you know, that's, can it be art? And I don't mean paintings or you know, drawings or sketches. I mean the uber category of art, you know? I mean, there's multiple different categories of art, but let's talk about the aesthetic kind, and absolutely yes. You know, I've seen AI imagery that is beautiful, and many AI images have been sold as art as well. So absolutely, it can be art. Quite frankly, my own experiments with AI generation has created some incredible artworks. I'll show you. And I mean, let's just be honest. I think it's amazing because I can't actually paint it myself. I can't do that, no chance, right? Which also, unfortunately for me, devalues that work a lot, because I know I can't do that, but I can just Google something and put it into existence. It's like, it's kind of cool, but I didn't have to suffer for it. I didn't have to work for it, you know? But, you know, I mean, that's besides the point. Aesthetically, AI imagery, absolutely art. Then, of course, you've got the second type of art, the one that is more profound, the kind that has a message. Let me quote Bukowski here. He once said, "An intellectual says a simple thing in a hard way, and an artist says a hard thing in a simple way." AI art can absolutely deliver a message, quite frankly. The Boris Eldagsen's piece here already, which won the creative genre for Sony World Photography Awards, that already came with a powerful message. What I really like about the Bukowski quote is how much it encompasses in terms of art. It can just be as simply as, look at this beautiful thing, but it can also be, look at this very complex scenario and this message that I'm giving to you. And that is not limited to the medium by which it is conveyed to the viewer. Be it sculpture, painting, photography, AI imagery, or a coffee stain on a virtual napkin, for all I care. So yeah, AI imagery can absolutely be art. There's no question. Anyone saying different, well, happy to disagree with you. Can it be original? Now, this is an interesting question, right? Because it really depends on the definition of original for you. If we limit originality as the creation of something out of nothing, then AI imagery cannot be original. Rembrandt at one point figures out Rembrandt's triangle. We all use it. If AI did not know about Rembrandt's triangle and did not have anything to riff off of, then it would not be able to, no chance. AI has no capacity without a Rembrandt pre-existing to be able to stumble upon this concept of Rembrandt's triangle. At least not yet. That would be AGI, and that's a whole different conversation. If we expand the term originality to include remixing, then absolutely yes, because AI is remixing on steroids like you've never seen before. It's going back to the tools, you see. If we take the sculptor, the painter, the photographer, give them the tools and they will be able to create something. None of them need the basis of art having pre-existed to be able to do so. They just need the tools. A photographer who has never seen a photograph before in his life but has a camera in hand will be able to take the ugliest picture of a tree, but he'll still be able to go and create it, or she'll still be able to go and create it. Take away the database, which contains imagery of all things created, and the AI, the algorithm, and the keyboard, as well as the artist, will not be able to remix anything into anything else. So the originality of AI is primarily dependent on the algorithm and the availability of imagery already created. I think that's fair. However, if it sounds like I'm saying that you will not be able to see stupendously magnificent things created through all that remixing, well then, you're mistaken. It can and it will, and it'll only get better at it. Quite frankly, the Sony Photography World Awards, even with those fingers, has already proven everyone wrong. The power of AI lies in the ability to interconnect between different topics, subject areas, and imagery, mediums to be honest, and create things that only your imagination can really limit. So what's the real frustration with AI imagery beyond the implications that it's going to have for some image-related professions? I think one of the main things has to do with reality. Photography has always had a bit of conflict with reality. And that's because the nature of the medium of photography is to depict things as real. I took a photo of something that I saw in real life. So even when photographers, when they use extensive Photoshop, it prompts discussion, right? Oh, that's for me, that's not a photo anymore. Oh, that is a photo. That we've heard that discussion before. Some people, they don't even go and do color edits. Like, this is all in camera. That's where we get that saying, this is all in camera. No Photoshop, no anything, no blah, 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 all done. You remember about 8 or 9 years ago when Steve McCurry was found out that he had done a little bit of, a little bit of Photoshopping, a little bit of body removal to improve the composition of his photography? I mean, that was all over the press. It was a scandal, big time, right? And that was at the point where he even felt the need to articulate that he was no longer a photojournalist. He never called himself a photojournalist. No, but he is a visual storyteller, right? People are upset, though, because it's like, no, you showed us something, and you showed us something as the truth. And then you went and manipulated it. And because of that, it's no longer real, or its reality has been disturbed. Look, there's professions, right? When you're a wedding photographer and you've got the happy couple right there, and then you've got that goofy cousin in the background that just walked into the best photo that you've got of that newly married couple, you better Photoshop that fella right out of it. No one's gonna complain about that. Or then you spot heal the ground away so that all that dried up chewing gum is gone. Yeah, sure, But when we start to mix reality with artificiality, and then start to say that this is God's honest 100% truth, this is reality, that's when we start traveling down a slippery slope. No one wants to be duped. No one wants to be caught a fool. And in one sense, that's kind of what Boris Eldagsen did with most, right? And that's where the potential of AI can be absolutely abused. I think that's one of the things that really gets to photographers. For me, the companies providing AI tools should have mechanisms in place that makes it very clear for the viewer, not just, a trained judge, but also my mom. When she's looking at an image, that is not Madonna slaying a cow or whatever it is. That's an AI image. It should be very clear. It's like, okay, this is not real. In one sense, you've got the ethical implications, but in the other sense, you also have creative ones. For me, there's a great appreciation in knowing the artist behind the art, the context of the art piece, the story, the journey of that artist, all that he or she has gone through to be able to go and create this art piece. So where does AI go into the future? I mean, without a doubt, there should be AI competitions where, AI imagery can compete with other AI imagery. And to be honest, I just thought about it as like where maybe AI should be doing some judging. I would be curious, if there are any AI artists. I'd love to hear from you to see, like, would you prefer winning a competition judged by human or AI? the almost real thing, and that's what we're talking about today, right? More importantly, though, what does it mean for us photographers in the future? In one sense, I do feel it means that we should step up our game in the creative spheres. There's going to be some wild photography out there, and it's going to be tough to compete with, like, I don't know, dragons that are shot on wet plates wearing Balenciaga. You might lose some likes to it. On the other hand, also be aware that it's already there to a certain extent, but AI will only become more and more part of your Photoshop, of your Lightroom, of the different softwares that you use, unless you shoot film, but even then. And it will certainly help you elevate your photography game as well. Whether you use it or not is up to you. Ultimately, I feel the most important thing is to continue to take photos. I was speaking with a mate of mine who recently rediscovered the joy of photography, the joy of going out and composing and adjusting and deciding on whether to take the photo or not, and then taking it, editing it, sharing it with some friends, maybe even putting it on social media. And he's not too worried about competing with AI or anything of that sort, because there's just joy in the process on its own. Quite frankly, most of the photo shoots that I've done, I enjoy planning, getting in touch with the model, setting everything up, doing the shoot, editing it, providing the images to the model, and then I'll leave it at that. I don't even post it to social media that much. It's actually the process that I enjoy the most. This is where the value of photography lies for me personally, and also other photographers that I look at. It doesn't matter if it's Jeff Widener and the Tank Man photo in Tiananmen Square, or Kevin Carter, I think it's Kevin Kevin Carter, and his photo of the vulture and the little girl, but then also contemporary photographers here on YouTube, like Sean Tucker's portraits, or then his street photography, as well as Olise Aoki's work. I'm reminded of one of these photos that he took in a diner, I think in London, and that looked like a painting. Knowing what these photographers can do, seeing their work, seeing their process, their journey, that's for me where the value of photography lies. And that is where I think you and I should continue to put our focus and our efforts into the photography itself, to become better photographers tomorrow than we were today, but most importantly, to enjoy doing it. And focus less on what is artificial and more on what is real in our hands and out there. So let's go shoot. Peace.